January. Such a bitter, hostile and cold time of the year, in particular for retailers, as not only did Comet go into administration before Christmas, but the likes of Jessop's, HMV and Blockbuster Video followed shortly. It doesn't seem to be a good time to be a retailer at the moment, unless of course you do your shopping at Poundland. Yes, that's right, Poundland. Whilst other retailers struggle to make a profit, Poundland, along with its nearest rivals, Poundworld, seem to be thriving. Indeed, it seems to be a land of plenty. That is of course if your idea of plenty is small traces of dog shit, found in the traces of cheapo DVDs and nasty looking rubber toys, which we're now going to take a look at. So here we go with another Poundland special, and a Poundland special won't be complete without some fake wrestling figures. Oh yeah! This time we've got these tiny little wrestling figures that will no doubt end up getting lost under the sofa or become a choking hazard within 5 minutes of the packaging being opened. These figures come complete with a horribly cheap looking plastic wrestling ring that seriously doesn't look like it could withstand a vigorous play session. Oh, and there's no ropes either. Rubbish! Not only that, but both Poundland and Poundworld had this cheap plastic shite in there. Poundworld had the traditional 4-sided ring as seen in the WWE, but Poundland had the 6-sided ring that Dragon Gate uses, and that total non-stop action used to have. Way to go there, TNA! Just get rid of the one thing that made your product stand out from the WWE. Well done. Next up, some knockoff Transformers from our old friends at Funtastic. First up, we've got the Beastie Converter, which is soon followed by the horribly gaudy Air Fighter Converters, both of which look so flimsy, likely that none of them would actually survive the transformation process. Oh sorry, the conversion process. Got to avoid those copyright infringements after all. Speaking of Funtastic, do you remember those large ninja action figures from Poundland Special 6? Well, they're back, but this time they've got a Union Jack printed across their chest for some reason. Oh hang on, it's not a complete Union Jack, where's Scotland? Oh well, maybe this is a ninja from a future where Scotland has declared independence. Next up we've got the Mongo Grinders, which are really pissed off looking anthropomorphic animals riding on skateboards. I understand that they're trying to look streetwise and all, but this lion just looks like he's ready to end it all. Perhaps by riding his skateboard off the top of something high, like a skyscraper. So from Poundland it was then on to Poundworld. Now I was making this video at the back end of January, beginning of February, so I can understand that they've got Valentine's Day related gubbins in there, but Easter eggs? Seriously? Ugh, what else did Poundworld have? Well, first of all, this really freaky looking rubber hand puppet that looks like the result of a fatality from the latest Mortal Kombat game. More dodgy rubber offerings come in the form of what appears to be a dead animal that met the business end of a steamroller. Not only did this line have a dead, vacant look in its eyes, but it didn't feel very nice either. Blech. But the worst thing about this toy is the pipe that appears to be lodged up its arse that you blow into. Yes folks, it's an animal balloon. A really horrible feeling rubber animal balloon that you inflate by blowing air into its anal cavity. Is there really a big market for these? I can only imagine that the toy makers of this saw that scene from the first Shrek movie where Shrek and Fiona inflate a snake and a frog. Oh, and speaking of Shrek, there were a number of Shrek minifigures in Poundworld as well. Shrek minifigures from another country, it seems.
Yeah, it's donkey, isn't it?
So basically, they look like official licensed products, don't they? But I think what it is, they obviously imported them to Spain. They didn't sell in Spain, so they brought them back over here and they're flogging them in Poundworld. Shrek. So obviously the Spanish for Shrek is Shrek. Cuacino. Demotino.
And of course you can always tell when a certain franchise has become popular when knockoffs of it start to appear. Introducing the Cuckoo Birds.
Yeah, complete with obvious artwork that's been inspired by something
Available
else.
on the App Store. It's available on the App Store.
Continuing with the theme of horrible rubber toys in Poundworld, we had this little dancing monkey. I use the word dancing in the loosest possible term.
Does he actually dance? No, he just vibrates nervously inside the pack. Dance, little monkey, dance. Sounds a little sinister to that, doesn't it? Dance, little monkey, dance. Dance for my amusement.
Fucking shit. I'm sorry.
And finally, it's always nice to see that Poundworld are willing to pick up the rejects that even Poundland can't sell, with the Green Lantern action figures. Yep, as first seen in Poundland Special 6, the Green Lantern action figures now continue their tour of shame by stinking up the shelves in Poundworld as well. This time we've got Sinestro, the villain of the piece, as played by Mark Strong, who actually is a very good actor, and it makes me wonder just how much money the Yanks had to throw at him before he agreed to appear in that absolute tosh of a movie and then be immortalised in an action figure that didn't even sell in Toys R Us and ended up in bargain shops like this. Poor bugger. Anyway, it's time for a quick roundup of all the DVDs found in the pound shops. No doubt with the likes of HMV and Blockbuster Video going to administration over the last few weeks or so, we're going to be seeing quite a few DVDs turn up in the likes of Poundland and Poundworld over the next few months. So first up, we had Jaws 2. Yep, just Jaws 2. The other three in the series were strangely conspicuous by their absence. Did they have like a bulk load of Jaws 2 DVDs just knocking about the place? I guess so. To be honest, the only reason why you'd even have any of the Jaws sequels on DVD would be if you bought the box set. Although Jaws 2 is nowhere near as bad as the sheer ridiculousness of Jaws 3D, or the utter shiteness of Jaws the Revenge, it's still a movie that deserves to be given a wide berth. Watch the original and stick with that one only. G'day, mate. Next up is Eric Banner's jaw-dropping debut appearance in Chopper. Banner plays Mark Chopper Reed, a bloke who doesn't seem to be too bad. No, he's not a bad bloke, I suppose, but his life just seems to consist of one incident of extreme violence after another. He's got some seriously mangled ears on him, and he totally believes that by killing criminals, he's actually doing society a favour. He'll gain a certain amount of fame for his slayings. Well, he's certainly got that and more, because not only did he get several best-selling novels out of it, but also this movie. He's on a one-man crusade against other low-level types, whom he feels deserves a bit of vigilante-style justice. To this end, he's tooled up to the eyeballs with a variety of sharp objects and firearms, including a shotgun which he keeps nestled lovingly in his arse crack. Chopper is a shockingly violent hour and a half, but you might actually find it enjoyable if you have the stomach for it, and are willing to take it with a large pinch of salt, as the movie has a disclaimer at the start which states that this is loosely based on the real-life Chopper's exploits, and therefore takes some liberties. However, it's still not quite as many liberties as Chopper takes out on his chosen victims. Next up, it's time to bring on the testosterone, as Vin Diesel appears as Riddick in Pitch Black. In fact, there was so much testosterone coming from the screen, I practically grew a fucking beard whilst watching this movie. Vin Diesel, on the other hand, doesn't have any hair. Not because he can't grow any, it's because the hair is too scared of him to grow. If you can't get enough of Mr. Diesel's gravelly tones, then Pitch Black is a DVD well worth picking up. It may be a tad predictable at times, and it may pinch a few ideas from the likes of the Predator and Alien movies, but nevertheless, this is still an enjoyable modern B-movie romp. It's time for some chop-socky action with DOA, Dead or Alive. Based on the popular video game, this is ideal entertainment for a lad's night in, as the movie is nothing more than a big, silly, over-the-top kung fu cheese fest, with scantily clad large-breasted babes, including Holly Valance, but that is essentially what the video game was as well. So in many ways, this is actually one of the best and most accurate video game adaptations out there. Here are 2 reasons alone to see the movie. More hard-kicking action to be found in Honour and Glory, starring Cynthia Rothrock as an FBI agent who just so happens to be brilliant at martial arts, taking on, get this, an evil banker who also just happens to be brilliant at martial arts. This naughty banker man is involved in scandal, but not because of his ridiculous annual bonus payments. Oh no, this guy has bigger fish to fry, like trying to get his hands on a nuclear arsenal. That is when he isn't sneering at people or angrily practicing kung fu weapon forms on his back patio for about 5 fucking minutes. Seriously. But But Cynthia's character also has problems at home, where she's trying to act as a peacemaker between her workaholic dad and her sister, who is a television news reporter, who also just happens to be brilliant at martial... Oh, you get the picture. Surprisingly, this movie was directed by Godfrey Ho, who is better known for his cut-and-paste ninja movies, such as Golden Ninja Warrior, which was actually put together using footage from about 5 other movies. This would later become the inspiration for the YouTube hit series Ninja the Mission Force. Maybe this is the reason why the American film producers changed his name to Godfrey Hall in the credits. Perhaps they saw some of his earlier work just a little too late. Although there are certain levels of campness and sheer absurdity throughout the movie, it's still an enjoyable enough romp, and the fight scenes are definitely above average for an American martial arts movie filmed in the early 90s. Although the fashion sense of some of the characters here would make you think it was a decade earlier. Come on, Cynthia, green leather with a blue sweater? Did you get dressed in the dark this morning during a time warp to the 80s? Oh, and the main villain, played here by John Miller, gets to deliver some of the best one-liners ever spoken by a B-movie baddie.
Silk, do you know an atomic trigger from a Bulgarian dildo? Because I don't.
I have arrived at the top of the world. No man has control of more money. No man can fight me and live. A woman can share my bed and not be mine for life. I am like a god. Piss on you from a great height.
So watch this film, or he'll peel your testicles like grapes. And finally, do you remember that Kung Fu Panda knockoff I mentioned back in Poundland Special 4, Chop Kick Panda? Well, the DVD is actually now available in Poundland. To be honest, the only people I saw buying this were students, so I'm guessing it was intended as a joke present. And no, I'm not going to review the bloody thing. That would mean buying it and actually watching it. Life's too fucking short. And that's the end of another Poundland special. Until next time, this is the Big Daddy D, signing out. Goodbye, and good shopping.